The power of consistency, transforming motivation into habit. Have you ever wondered why it's so easy to start something new, but so hard to maintain it? In this story, you will discover how motivation can give you the initial push, but it is the habit that will lead you to fulfill your dreams. Join Sofia and Marco on a journey filled with lessons about perseverance, small steps, and big changes. Ready to transform the way you reach your goals? Stay tuned to the end to find out how. In a small town surrounded by mountains and crystal-clear rivers lived Sofia, a young woman known for her enthusiasm to start projects, but also for her inability to finish them. From learning to play the guitar to enrolling in sports races, Sofia always started with overwhelming energy, but it only took a few weeks for her motivation to fade away like fog at dawn. One afternoon, while walking through the woods looking for inspiration for his next adventure, he found an old man sitting by a river. It was Don Hector, a traveler who had settled in the village years ago. It was said that he knew the secrets to achieving any goal. "Hello, Sofia," said Don Hector, as if he had been waiting for her. "I've heard that you get excited about many things, but you don't finish any of them." Sofia blushed. "That's true," he admitted. "I always start off strong, but then I lose interest or get tired. How do people manage to achieve their goals?" Don Hector smiled and pointed to the river. "The water in this river never stops. Sometimes it moves fast, sometimes it moves slowly, but it keeps moving. That's how it reaches the ocean. If you want to achieve something great, you need more than motivation. You need consistency." "How can I learn that?" Sofia asked, intrigued. "I'll tell you a story," he replied. "It's the story of a young man named Marco who discovered the difference between motivation and habit while climbing a mountain." Marco was a blacksmith's apprentice in a nearby village. Although he worked hard, he dreamed of something more: climbing the highest mountain in the region, Dragon Peak, a place few had ever reached. For him, reaching the summit symbolized overcoming his own limitations and proving that he could achieve something great. One day, after months of dreaming about the climb, Marco announced his decision to the village. The news caused a stir, and many people offered to help him. They gave him equipment, maps, and advice. Marco was full of motivation. He couldn't wait to get started. When the day of the climb arrived, Marco woke up before dawn, full of energy. The first stage was easy, a gentle path surrounded by wildflowers. Every step filled him with pride and hope. But on the second day, the trail began to get steeper. His backpack, which had initially seemed light, became an unbearable weight. His legs ached, and the initial excitement faded. Arriving at camp that evening, Marco felt discouraged. "How am I going to get to the top if I'm already so tired?" he wondered out loud. In the midst of his frustration, Marco noticed an old man standing by a nearby campfire. He was dressed in simple clothes and had a calm air about him. The old man invited him to sit down. "Tough first day?" the old man asked with a smile. Marco nodded. "I don't know if I have what it takes to reach the top," he admitted. The old man took a stick and drew 2 lines in the ground. Motivation and habit are like these 2 lines. Motivation is strong at first, but short. Habit, although it seems weak, is long and constant. If you want to reach the top, you must transform your motivation into habit. "How do I do that?" Marco asked, intrigued. "Start with small steps. Don't think about the summit all the time, just the next step. Do it every day, no matter how you feel." Marco took the old man's advice. The next morning, he focused solely on moving to the next tree, then to the next rock. He allowed himself to rest when he needed to, but always resumed his journey. At first, the routine seemed boring. The excitement of the beginning had worn off, but something curious began to happen. The more he walked, the easier it became. Repeated actions, adjusting his backpack, taking a step, drinking water, became an automatic habit. He no longer had to fight with his mind to move forward. He just did it. Every day, Marco celebrated small achievements: a spectacular view, a shelter built with his own hands, or simply having weathered a storm. Little by little, he began to enjoy the process instead of obsessing over the summit. After weeks of climbing, Marco finally reached Dragon Peak. The view was breathtaking, but what really excited him was not being there, but realizing how much had changed. He was no longer the same young man who depended on his enthusiasm to get ahead. He had learned to trust in his discipline and the strength of small daily habits. He understood that the summit was not the only goal. The real triumph had been to transform himself into someone constant and resilient. When Marco returned to the village, he shared not only stories of his adventure, but also the lessons he had learned. He helped his friends and neighbors establish small habits to achieve their own goals, whether it was learning a trade, improving their health, or pursuing a forgotten dream. Over time, the town changed. People no longer gave up on their projects when their initial motivation ran out. Instead, they kept moving forward, step by step, until they achieved what they set out to do. Don Hector finished his story and looked at Sofia with wise eyes. Just like Marco, you must learn that motivation is just the beginning. What really matters is creating a habit that keeps you moving, even when the excitement wears off. Sofia understood this. She decided that instead of trying many things and giving up, she would focus on one project and build a habit around it. That same day, he began his own path of perseverance. And although it was difficult at first, he remembered Don Hector's words, "One step after another, like the water in the river." Over time, Sofia became an example of perseverance in the village, proving that, like Marco, anyone can achieve their goals if they transform motivation into habit. In the end, Sofia understood that motivation may be the engine that ignites the journey, but it is habit that keeps the movement forward. And so, she lived a life full of achievements, not because she was always motivated, but because she had learned the true power of perseverance. Motivation is what gets you going, but habit is what keeps you going. Jim Rohn. And so, as Marco and Sofia learned, the key to achieving what you want is not just feeling motivated, but building habits that keep you moving forward day by day. Every step counts, and every habit adds up. What small change will you make today to transform your life? If this story inspired you, don't forget to give it a like, share with someone who needs a boost, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for more stories that motivate you to achieve your goals. See you in the next video.